Let's go beachcombing at Tresaith Beach. Well, it's a bit breezy and the waves are crashing in, but we're hoping that we'll get some good finds here on Tresaith Beach today. Not just beachcombing, but also at the north end we understand that the river comes over as a waterfall, so who knows what finds may be lurking there for us. There's only one way to discover. Let's start looking. Come on.
Well, here we are on a very blustery, cold day. It is quite chilly, but that means we get an empty beach. There's hardly anyone here, so we've got plenty of space to look to see if we can find anything exciting. Now I'm spotting a few natural finds. We've got some seagull feathers, got some little bits of seaweed there. If we walk along, I can see a piece of china, so let's have a look what that is. What's our first find of the day going to be? Plain or patterned? Plain. I think maybe it's a bit of shell. Ah, right. We'll keep looking then. We still haven't had our first china find or man-made find of the day. The roaring you can hear in the background is the sea. Don't forget, shout if you see something. It's interesting to see the rocks here. The slate and the way it breaks. Very clean, crisp edges on a lot of it, and then it gets rounded in the sea. You can see it's like layers. We take this chunk here and drop it, see if anything happens. See how easily that splits off into thin layers? Lots of little bits of shell again. I think that's an indication of how rough the seas are at the moment. Oh, there's something rusty. So, it's cracking. Oh, that's come up nice and easily. Oh, look at that. Now, what do you think that is? It's broken off something. It's got like a nut and a bolt through it. Do you think that's off an old ship? Or off an old pier? Definitely past its best, but if you like the look on rust, then it's a thing of beauty. What do you think, Mr. Johnson?
Not sure. That's an interesting flattened end there.
Well, today, in my draw a person every day, I did a person with a diver's helmet on, and that is very similar to the image I used to copy of the little things that shut the front like window pane on the diving helmet, if you see what I mean. So is that off something on a ship and you use that to tighten it to make the watertight seal?
Could be. Or maybe it went in like that and locked against this side when you turned that, so you needed one spanner to do it up.
Ah, yes.
It's another possibility. It's definitely old.
It is.
I'd say, because the location is definitely maritime.
Yep.
And it's interesting because at this point, as we drove down, we saw all the properties, but before coming to the beach was a thing, which was the end of the 19th century really, that it got really big. There were only 2 properties here, the ship pub and one thatch cottage. And what reminds me of that story is this, because the Parry family, who ran as the landlords, the ship pub, actually were boat owners as well. And their very first boat they built right here on this beach. They came down and they assembled it on the beach. Now, I'm not saying that's part of their equipment, possibly not old enough, but it's wonderful to think that right here a family built a boat, started a business, and they called their very first boat New Hope. Isn't that a lovely story?
Lots of black sand as well as brown sand here. Oh, I can see something man-made or person-made. And very beautiful. Look at that. Somebody's made a castle, quite a substantial castle. We've got some flowers in the main body of the building there. And all these beautiful shells. Look at that one. That's my favourite. That's a cliff up there which is about 20 feet high, which isn't as high as many of the cliffs we see when we're out mudlarking, beachcombing. But look at all the water draining down. Isn't that pretty? Very relaxing. The sea is getting rougher though. You can hear it. All the way along. Plants clinging to the rocks. The roots clinging on for dear life, I suppose. Lots of dripping and then out to sea. I'm not going swimming in there today. There are wonderful rock formations here. Oh, there's a little cave there. Oh, it doesn't go anywhere, look. We could go up there, but then it's a dead end again. Now, I've lost Phil, and he is absolutely nowhere to be seen on this beach, which makes me think that he's found a cave to hide in. See? Nobody there, other than the man with the dog, who isn't Phil, because we don't have a dog. So let's go look in. Where has he gone? He might have gone around the headland over there. And I get a sneaky feeling he hasn't had long enough, so he's in one of these little caves. Let's have a look. Right, there's no way with that one. Sorry if it's a bit bumpy. I'm trying not to fall over the rocks and trying to look where I'm filming. Can you see him? Ah, I can see movement. He's all the way down there. Right, let's go up here before we go see Phil. See what this looks like. Oh, this is fun all of its own, isn't it? It's a bit like caving without the risks of going in a cave. Ooh. Ah, now that does seem to go around the corner, but I know my limitations. I'm not that slim. so I couldn't get round that corner. And looking up, it just doesn't look that safe. When you think these shards could come down at any point, so I'm not going in. Well, there's the proof. Look at all those on the floor there. They've come from somewhere. There's a big ravine there, but again, no cave. There's a cave there. Again, I think it just goes very, very narrow. I don't think anybody could get in there. Probably just where this huge mass here is separating from the actual land and is slowly moving forward a little at a time. Definitely not a safe place to go. But interesting to look at. Look up there. Ooh, makes me quite nervous. Look at that waterfall. It's so pretty. But that's not the biggest waterfall here. When we finish looking around this area, we're going in search of the bigger waterfall. Hello!
Hello!
Down on these rocks, there are the limpets. I don't know if ever you were a child, you went to the beach and tried to pull those off the rock. If you didn't, I can tell you, it's impossible. They're so tightly stuck, you can't move them. Well, I don't know what Phil's found. He got something in his hand. I thought we'll have a little look and see if there are any nice shells that I can take with me. Because although most are broken, some seem okay. It's a nice one. I'll take that one. I can see another one up here. Yep, we'll have that one as well. They are very pretty. Aha, is that another one upside down or a broken one? Aha, it's a whole one. And we've got more here. Oop, have that one. And that one. Oh, that's a pretty one. It's a cappy shell. And that one. Oh, it's bigger than I thought. Oh, and it's broken. Oh well, we'll leave it. I think this place is going to be perfect for natural finds, not so good on the man-made finds. It's so beautiful, I don't mind. Look at all this seaweed. Aha, we nearly walked past it. There's another shell. That looks broken. Oh, it's a shame because I like that. With all the stripes on it. What's that? You've seen a shell? Where? Oh, there! Well spotted. Oh, there's another one. And a little tiny one. Oh, they're nice. And there's the waterfall from a different angle. Quite spectacular. And these cliffs, unlike the ones we see at Lyme Regis, have got quite a lot of greenery growing on them. When we pop down to Lyme Regis, there's not a lot of growth on the sides because they're collapsing so frequently. Whereas here, the plants are getting a chance to get a grip. What have you found?
I have found something. In fact, I found more than something. Found things.
Things.
But I suppose, really when we come out, because of the nature of what we do, we're looking for things like that.
Oh yes, it's the bottom of a cup or something.
A little bit of china cup.
And it's plain, yeah.
Find it on the beach and you think, oh, we found treasure. But then I thought to myself, I've walked probably for the last 20 minutes on this beach and that's the only piece of man-made broken stuff I found.
Yep.
Which kind of felt disappointing, and then I challenged myself to the reality that perhaps I should be celebrating the fact that I have walked 20 minutes on a beach as beautiful as this and only found one piece of man-made junk.
Yep.
As beautiful as that is, it is to be celebrated, especially when I'm walking over so much of nature's beauty. Because, you know, we look for well-worn bits of china, but these broken shells are worn just the same way.
Beautiful.
And nature can always outdo anything man does, because we're always doing our best to copy the beauty we see around us. So with that thought in mind, Maggie and I thought we'd try plain or patterned with shells.
All right, so let's play plain or patterned.
Now here you have this shell here. That is fixed, permanent, and not going nowhere.
That's a limpet.
These are ones we picked up as we went down.
They're
just
pretty.
some nice shells. But here the question is, when you turn them over, will they be solid one colour or will they be patterned?
Right, so let's have a look. Well, this one I'm going for solid. It's got a very pale pattern.
That's patterned, I get
so
one.
So that's one for Phil, put it over by his limpet.
Thank you.
This one I'm going for plain then. Oh no, that was patterned as well.
Yeah, nature does like its patterns.
So I'm going to go for patterned on this piece. Yes, I get a sneaky feeling a lot of these are going to be patterned. So I'm going to say that one's patterned as well and see if we get caught out. No, that one's plain, we caught out.
Ah, see?
This one I'm going to say was quite patterned on that side, so patterned. Yep. This one I'm going to say plain. Oh, yep, plain.
3 all.
This one I'm going for plain again.
Pattern. 4-3.
This one I'm going for, oh, I don't know, plain. Yes.
Oh, it's a decider.
Ooh, so all down to this one. Oop. Well, I'm going for plain. That is patterned.
It's
well done, Phil.
We win. Not only do we win, but I think nature wins.
Yes.
Because every time we're out, we say, we hardly ever find patterned. On a beach like this, where nature's doing its work, we hardly ever find plain.
This is true.
And when I describe this place as beautiful, I really mean it. We expect the crashing waves of the sea. What you don't expect on a location like this is the amazing waterfall that is crashing from behind us, just the other side of this rock. And the atmosphere with the caves, the coves, the rocks, the waves, the waterfall, it is so linked to the legend of this location. Tresaith. It means the place of 7, and that's the river Saith that floods over the cliff edge just beyond us. And the story is told that an ancient king of Ireland had 7 troublesome daughters. Not knowing what to do with them, he put them on a boat and set them adrift. And they landed here. And when they landed, they were met by 7 local farmers, and the girls fell in love. And the rest, as they say, is history, and the name, the place of 7, was settled forever. It may be just a legend, it may not be true, but it's a good story. Fishermen don't look after their boys. That's 2 boys in 2 days.
I found a pretty shell. I wasn't going to stop, but then I saw this and thought you might like to see it. Isn't that sweet? Right, we're going to work our way down there because there are some caves. I don't know how close we can get because if it looks precarious, then I'm staying well away. But let's go and find out. Right, so here we are by the caves. Now I want to be a little quiet because there could be dragons in these caves. I know they say that the last dragon is dead, but how can you be so sure? Maybe he is here and hiding in there. Well, that looks really spooky. There's something glowing right at the back. Can you see? I wonder if that's the heat coming from a dragon's snout. I'm not going to check. Let's go and look at the other one. Ah, there's lots of red round here. Do you think that's scorch marks? I think we'll move away.
Seeing this cave here reminds me of a story of a Celtic saint. We'll tell you more of that story when we get there, because we're going to go over there now and have a look at Kranagwen beach. Tell how rough the sea is here. All of this has come crashing over with the waves. Probably why they've built the barriers.
Yep.
And they've got shutters on all the buildings, some of them made of steel.
Which I think is necessary.
Yeah, I think they need them.
Can you imagine those pebbles flying at your window? And they've flown at the window on the high tide and storms coming from down there.
We've been telling everybody that they forecast gales while we were here, and now you can see it's true.
Yep, the road is littered with pebbles that have washed up.
And I've abandoned the walking stick in favour of the umbrella. The wind has dropped a little, but the rain is picking up. But let's see what else we can find here as we're under the gaze of the statue of the saint on the cliff top. Well, it was far too dangerous to stay on that beachfront. So we gave up on Kranagwen, but we've come back and the sun is beginning to shine for us. It's still windy, the waves are still high, but now we can get back on the beach and see what we can find. Come on.
We found this cave down on the beach. We're not going to be able to do much talking on camera because it's so windy, but we're out of the wind here. And Phil has decided to go in the cave. I am not going in that cave. That ceiling looks a bit precarious to me. I'm not surprised, it is spooky. It's dangerous. Now don't go right in just in case anything falls, bangs you on the head. I bet. I'll just believe you. Do you want to take the camera?
Just take you in a little bit, folks, to have a little look. We're not going in too far because I'm scared. There we go. Oh, right, it's all moving. Oh look, what's that? That's a big log. I hope it's a big log. Oh, I hope it's not something a dragon's been eating. That goes in there all the way. Oh boy. I think I'll go back out. Woo! That goes a long way in.
We've spotted another cave, and seeing as I've got my intrepid explorer with me.
Is that a monkey?
Yes. Look at this. Whoa, that's a cave. Somebody's already been in, and they've come back out, which is good news, because there are footprints going in and footprints coming out. It's not quite as drafty in here as it is out there. Again, this has got all red marks. I wonder if that's a dragon been breathing and burning the rock. What do you think? That's the view outside the cave, and that's what the noise is. That rushing sea.
And it would have been in a cave such as this, a bit further inland, because this fills with water, that one of the most famous sons of Kranagwen spent much of his life, and that was Saint Carantoc. In fact, his statue is stood on the cliff opposite me and is overlooking us right now as we stand in this cave. 5th century saint, grandson of the king of Kranagwen. chosen to become the heir and to rule his people, he made the decision that that wasn't the life for him. He chose the life of a hermit, lived in a cave, established the church, which is still here in the village, but now a Victorian building rather than the original, of course, but still housing a font from the Norman times. This man made his mark. But he didn't only make his mark here, because he also travelled with his ministry. And he established churches that bear his name in Somerset, Cornwall, and even as far afield as Brittany in France. Now that's some going when you think we're talking 1,500 years ago. So, there's a man with a story to tell that this cave reminds us of, and this place bears his name.
And if we look out there, that sea seems to be getting noisier and rougher. Fortunately, we know the tide has turned and it's going out. I would not be in this cave if the tide was coming in, because at any time it's going to fill with water.
And I found something really good.
Something really good?
I think it's really good anyway.
Oh, go on then, impress us.
Well, for this beach, it's our first.
Oh wow, it's a gummy bear. Look at that. That's very nicely rounded. Yes, that earns itself gummy bear status. Looks like a little gummy bear. Bill's found something. Let's have a look. No, it doesn't go that way. Oh, wait a minute. Can't quite tell if that goes there. Does it turn the other way up? Ah,
Whoa!
look at that. Perfect. And, oh yes!
Oh gosh, look at that!
So we got almost 25% of a pot.
Yeah.
No, probably a third, just quite good. Although I filmed picking up the bits and pieces from the river inlet, I can't be sure the sound came out, and so I'm stood here admiring this absolutely stunning view, and Phil is down there laying everything out for us to have a look at, because the wind can't get to us here.
You hope.
Oh, Monkey's joining in as well.
Yes, he is. He's
Right.
impressed by this.
That's
There you go,
really
folks.
good, isn't it? What's the chances of finding 3 bits like that? Unless they recently smashed.
And I'd say it is recently smashed.
Yep,
And what I think has happened is that's washed down like that,
yep.
and where they bring the tractors and the boats across the
Ah,
water,
yep.
I think somebody drove over this because the pieces were like that and they were sort of very close together, look.
Right,
So that's my theory,
there we go.
is that's a run over job, but I can put me glue
Oh yes, nothing a bit of glue won't solve.
and that'll be a lovely little find. So that's that one.
Alright, let's have a look at the rest.
Shame there wasn't more to this.
Oh, that is really nice, I like that.
It's a lovely top to a pot.
It is, isn't it? Quite old too.
Got quite a bit of white, but there's some pattern to that.
I think that's a lasagna dish or something, fairly modern. That's my theory on that one.
That's a
And
chunk of white.
This, I think, is off a toilet or a Belfast sink or something. And again, not that old, because there's not that much crazing on it.
Smallest brick I've ever found.
I liked it for this though. I think it was glazed, and
Yeah.
what was that glazing and what was this? Very interesting.
Another lovely little interesting bit, very nicely worn.
It is. I wonder if that's the bottom of that.
not sure. Could be it's
No,
slightly
can you
different
hold
colour.
them together? Because I can't do it with this.
It's-
Let's have a look. No, they're a different
colour.
colour. What a shame. About the same size though.
Yeah. And then there's another little bit of white,
Yeah, lots of bits of white.
a little bit of cream, another bit of creamy white, another bit of tile, I think, because you can see
Yes.
the mark of the tile and the bit of cement.
Definitely looks like.
Then our one and only bit of blue and white, which is gorgeous.
It's really pretty. You have no idea. I think, do you think that's a river?
I tell you
Or
what,
is it
it's
a
well
peacock's
worn,
tail?
isn't it? Well washed.
It is. That's been in the river a while, and it's got a pattern that side as well.
And an equally well washed, beautiful bit
A
of
little
glass.
gummy bear. Anything that looks like a gummy bear, we call a gummy bear. Very rare we get nice, rounded, big, chunky ones like that. So that gets gummy bear status.
And those are our finds from Kranagwen.
Up until now, every day has been pretty grey, but today, well, this afternoon, this morning was grey and rainy, but this afternoon, the sun has come out, the skies are blue, and everything looks so much more alive.
For the moment.
Over in the distance are the caves, where Phil just went in very bravely. There are the fishermen's houses along the front, which are now holiday cottages. And another river here, which we found absolutely nothing in. So we think this maybe is coming from some sort of drainage culvert or something. Nothing exciting in there at all. But if we look behind us, ooh, more big rocks. I don't think there's a cave up here. Let's go have a look. Oh, wait a minute, I think there could be. Oh no, I don't think it's a safe cave. I can see some boulders have come down in that side, so that side's very unstable. This side in here has got lots of pebbles on, where the sea has washed the pebbles in when it's been rough and in high tide. More dragon scorch marks. It is. Ooh, look at that. Gotta watch I don't leave a blob on the camera now. More scorch marks on the rocks. They're not really scorch marks, it's a red rock. It's quite stunning, isn't it? All that red. And then in there it comes to a dead end, but you can see the shards just hanging. It's really not safe to go in there. Piles of leaves in here, and that's because, due to COVID, no services until further notice. Let's have a look upwards and see what we can see. There are usually some birds' nests tucked away in these, so I can see droppings, but I can't see a nest. Ah, if you look, they've taken the swallows' nests off the wood up there. You can just see the marks. Look at this beautiful bit of carving. Isn't that lovely? A big old door with a big old hinge. And a big old Phil. Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. As I mentioned earlier, this is a modern church by the standards of the original church that was built here 1,500 years ago. It's not just the 6th century saint who is reputed to be the uncle of our patron saint, St. David, that makes this place famous. There was another famous encounter here in 1745 when the curate, Peter Williams, who favoured the concept of Methodism, found himself in hand-to-hand combat, it seems, with the incumbent minister here, who tried to prevent him from preaching. Well, Mr. Williams won the day. The curate preached, but he didn't win outright because he then got sacked. But that wasn't the end of the story, because he went on to be a fervent Methodist preacher and part of the great revival that swept across this nation under Methodism. It's not just the saints of the 6th century and the fiery preachers of the 18th century that are renowned in this place, because here in this graveyard we find the tomb of a lady, a formidable lady, Sarah Rees, better known as Kranagwen, which was her bardic name. And that is part of the reason for her fame and notoriety. She was the first woman to win a major bardic prize at the Eisteddfod in Aberystwyth, along with many other great achievements in her lifetime. Yes, born in 1839 and lived until 1916, this lady was formidable. She was a master mariner by the age of 21. She was a poet, a teacher, a music examiner, a lecturer, and a preacher. And as I mentioned, the first woman to win a bardic crown in 1865. She was also the editor of a Welsh journal that was devoted to the interests of women, which she not only edited, but also wrote much of the content during her 10 years there from 1879 to 1889. And during that time, she spread the message of women's rights and equality for all. No wonder an historian once referred to her as the most outstanding Welsh woman of the 19th century. Just out there, that big rock.
Yep.
I read that the legend is told that there was a giant in these parts and he had toothache.
Right.
And he got so cross with his tooth, he pulled it out and threw it in the sea. And that is the giant's tooth.
Right. Oh, well, if it's that colour, it definitely was not worth leaving in anyway.
Yeah.
You needed a bigger toothbrush.
The other theory is it's part of the mainland that broke away due to the storms and the raging seas, but that doesn't sound half as realistic to me.
No. Oh, the heathers are dried and dying now up in the mountains. They're all making that look so much more pretty with the sunshine. Because if I go to this mountain here without the sunshine on, which is what we've had all along, it's just no life to that scene yet. If I turn back there, look at that. It comes alive, doesn't it?
And out there, what do they call it, like the white horses?
Yep.
The galloping white horses of the waves as the surf breaks in the sunlight.